Good evening. My name is Yolanda Sanders, and I'm the Department Chair for Apparel, Events, and Hospitality Management at Iowa State University. And I'm pleased to host and help sponsor the second season of More Than Monoliths with Cameron Gray, who is the coordinator and the brainchild behind this event and also the Buxton Initiative. So first, let me introduce Cameron Gray, who is our host this evening and facilitator of our dialogue with Blake Showers. So Cameron is a Birmingham born artist whose work focuses on Blackness in America. He uses his work to help decipher his own understanding of self. He believes that Blackness is a universal force. He tries to reveal a small part of his glory through every object he creates. Through his artistic and social practice, he hopes to be a reminder to people of how we got here with the intention to spark inspiration and Black futures. Cameron founded the Buxton Initiative in 2020, which is an organization that centers Blackness in the realm of art, music, literature, and film. In 2021, he was the recipient of the Iowa American Rescue Plan Grant and the Iowa Arts and Cultural Resilience Grant. So please help me welcome Cameron Gray. Thank you, Cameron. Our artist this evening that we are highlighting and featuring is Blake Showers, who is an illustrator and manga from Birmingham, Alabama. The themes of his work deal with Black representation, American cartoons, and Japanese culture. He's currently working on a manga that is being published by Saturday AM, the world's most diverse shonen manga anthology magazine, with his co-creator and friend, Daniel Williams, who we featured in the first session of this season. Growing up, Blake was very into anime, manga, and cartoons. He didn't see people that looked like him in this media, and it made him feel left out as a kid. He didn't want any other child to feel the way he felt. Therefore, he channeled those feelings into his art, where he portrays Black people and people of color in these kinds of genres and themes. So please help me welcome Blake Showers.
Hey Cameron, I don't think your mic is on.
I am. Okay. Yeah. How you doing, boy?
I'm good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. No, this is great. I don't know, for a lot of people who don't know you, before we even begin, I just want to say, and I just said this a few minutes ago with you off camera, but I just want to say it publicly that I'm just very grateful to have you and a friend like you in my friend group. And to, like, I mean, like, it's cool to have like a little bro in the art game and then help foster you. Because I remember I've known you for since 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. Yeah. And to see, like, that's crazy. Like, that's almost 11 years. And like, it's crazy to see your progression as an artist and a creator. And I'm just really proud of you as an individual. And, you know, you've always stayed true to yourself, which is incredible. And so I just want to thank you for being that person and being you and always being unapologetically you. And so, I thank you for being a part of this program with me. and I was very honored to be able to show your work through More Than Monoliths.
Yeah, I appreciate like you having me. Like I thought this was real cool. Like a lot of people need to say the stuff that they need to say, and like I think this is the best way for me to be able to do it. And I appreciate you just wanting me to be a part of it. And like I've enjoyed I enjoyed Daniel's. Like I think this is just a great thing that y'all are doing. So thank you for having me for it.
No, of course, man. I'm always here to support. Look, I'm always, if I can feed you, I'm gonna feed you, brother. I promise you.
Yeah.
So where I want to begin, so let's begin with like, tell people about Birmingham as if they've never been there. Like, how would you best describe Birmingham?
I would say it's it's kind of like Atlanta, but a little bit more low key. But that was when I was there, when I was like 19, 18, and I was just like actually getting into the city. But now I feel like it's just a lot of stuff happening. There's so many, like the people, the artists, the history, just so many things about it is just great. And I think if you want to learn some stuff about civil rights, history, and you also want to have fun, and you want to also see some great artists that might not be seen like everywhere, like I think Birmingham is the perfect place for all that.
Like, I think one thing that kind of stood out to me is when you said like it's like Atlanta, because it does, like, it low key does feel like that to some degree. Like, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people sleep on Birmingham so often, and it's sad to me because it's like it does have that same vibe of like an early Atlanta. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's gonna take like maybe another 10 years to maybe get to that point, but
Yeah.
it's definitely on its way for sure.
Yeah, it's been like, even since I left, like it's been so many like great things happening, like the World Games. I remember when I was there in college, like there were people coming, like artists, like rap artists coming for concerts, and they were kind of like filling the water in. But now it's like so many people come through. Wale, Billie Eilish was just there.
Yeah.
Mac Miller came. I think it was like a little bit before I left there. Like more and more people were starting to see, oh, it's cool, and like people turn up here and have fun.
Yeah.
Young Nudie was there last year. Yeah, it's a great place. I think a lot of people have been sleeping on it. And I think also that's kind of good because it's like everybody has a chance to grow organically. It's not like, oh, we have to like keep up with everything that's going on around us. Like everybody can kind of like level up with each other and not have that pressure to be like putting stuff out constantly and constantly and constantly. Because I feel like in Atlanta, it's like everybody's so like trying to get it because that's like the spot everybody tries to get it, and it's a hot city, so like everyone's there, as opposed to Birmingham where it's like it's stuff happening, but you have the time and you have like people not just trying to be like, oh, let's just get on a song because I want to get this thing out. Like people actually organically connect and talk and create stuff. So I think that is good that it hasn't been so like popping, and like it's just gradually getting more and more play now.
No, I completely agree. Like, I think it's like it is a there's a certain genuineness that takes place there when you talk to people about art and like the art, like the art scene in that city, but then also music too. It's like,
Yeah.
people understand that, as being from there, we understand that Birmingham has been slept on. We know that as a fact. And so like I think there I think a lot of people from Birmingham are built somewhat different because of that aspect of like, you're already, first off, you already have your back against a wall because nobody wants to support somebody from a city that is, you know what I mean, like a Birmingham. Like that's not a flashy or quote unquote flashy city. But I
Yeah.
think that's what makes us, you know, so hard driven individuals who aren't afraid to fail, because like I wouldn't even expect it to succeed anyway because of where I'm from. And so now this gives you like, it's almost like our superpower of like, well, we don't care. Like, what do we have to lose? Like, I'll just go back home, which is the place that I love anyway. So it's like, I'm not losing anything at all.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely feel that.
No. So like let me ask, so then kind of and I love the way you describe Birmingham, but like one thing I do want to ask is like, so like growing up, what was your first memory of like doing art? How old were you think you were when you first started?
Oh man. I know I was very young. Like my parents, they bought a bunch of children's books like as I was like growing up, and like I had like a little like display of just children's books, and like there would be sometimes I'd be like, I kind of want to draw like that, and I would draw in the book. Like there's like blank pages on the like the back and the front, and like I would do that, and my mom would get mad, but not really mad. But yeah, I think it was around that time where I wasn't in school, but I was like, okay, this is something cool. Like every kid kind of draws at some point. But I think when I was maybe in third grade, it was like I drew a lot, and I was known as the kid that drew a lot. And I was like, maybe I can like do this for real, like as something as a grown up, like I can do this as a job. And yeah, I think that just helped me, like just seeing just stuff on TV about people that drew, and like looking at books and knowing that this was a thing that people liked. I was like, I can actually do this, something I like, as a job. So I think I need to keep up with it.
No, for sure. Even as a kid, were your parents quite supportive of you going into that field, or how did they respond when you were like, hey, I want to just compete, I just want to be, you know, an artist for the rest of my life?
Well, I think they were really just like, hey, go for it. My mom, she does art. She's more of like on the craft side, so like she could see a table, and it could be like a table from the thrift store, and she would be like, I can use that in some way, and she would like buy it, paint it, upholster it. Like
Oh, that's
that
great.
was, yeah, that was like her kind of thing. And like there weren't like computers or internet back then, so it was just stuff that she just would see and like just try to figure out how to do. And my dad, he's a chef, so he always is like in the kitchen figuring out new recipes, seeing what works, what doesn't. So I think they've always been very supportive in that kind of aspect, where they're like, hey, if it's something like creative or something, do it. Like even if I didn't want to do it for a job, they were really always like, hey, go for it. Like it'd be times I show my dad pictures, and he was like, and he'd be like, you didn't draw this, and I'd be like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And it was just that kind of like motivation, that he would be like, oh, this is so cool, and me being like, yeah, I want to make something even more cooler to show them. I think that helped me out a lot as a kid, because art is scary. It's very scary to think about long term, because a lot of people don't get to make it. A lot of people, they try it and like they can't hone in on it, or there's not a big market for it. So I think that for them to just out the gate be like, hey, do this, like I appreciate it so much, like every day.
No, that I mean that's huge. Like I can't even imagine what it's like to live in a house full of other creators that are lending
Hmm.
themselves. Because like, yeah, my folks were only like science and you know education and stuff to that degree. So it was like
Yeah.
for me, it was a hurdle to leap. And so like I feel it's really dope that you did live in a system of where they were completely supportive. Is there anything that your father or your mother gave, like any wisdom they imparted on you, like while you started to start figuring some of this stuff out that like really has stuck with you?
I think the one thing is it's just having a backup plan. And it like they would like, I remember in high school they would be like, oh, like it's cool that you want, like it started to get more real, like, hey, it's cool that you want to do this, but make sure like that you have a backup plan if it doesn't work. And it wasn't them saying like, oh, all right, fun's over. It was more like, hey, think about it long term, because anything could happen. Like I could break my hands, I I could just lose the ability to draw one day. Like anything could happen. So I think that them just kind of being like, hey, this is cool, but also remember what you can do outside of it. It really helped me just think about it in a like art, I guess, 360 way. Because like, say one day I'm just like, hey, I don't want to do this no more. Like I could be a creative director. I can do things dealing with art that's where I don't have to draw. So I think it was more of them trying to open my mind to be like, hey, even if you get tired of this, if you can't or you physically aren't able, there are other avenues to get to the places you want, if that makes sense.
No. I mean, like there's always ways of like it doesn't always have to. Our idea of what an artist like what or what people have told us what artists have to be doesn't. We can make our own way and our own systems of like how we want to navigate that world, and I think that's like
Mm-hmm.
the most powerful. Like understanding that, I think is like the most powerful thing within uh ourselves is because that if it doesn't work out for you this way doesn't mean that you should just stop on that path. It's like, okay, well, maybe
Yeah.
you just need to make a right or a left, and then
Mm-hmm.
once you make that right until you find your way back or find even better path that you didn't even know. uh,
Yeah.
and so like I really love that your parents kind of imparted those aspects of like just in case, like you always have a fallback plan of like and like most of the time, sometimes some of those times the fallback plan is art. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, if this post doesn't work, then I'll post it. Next time I'll post it this way, or you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean. Of like, you're always catering or trying to better the best way of perpetuating or sending out your system or your work,
Yeah.
um, which I think is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, so in the follow up question I was gonna ask is like who else believed in your work, and it seems like both of your parents did, which is incredible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
who inspires you as a creator? Like whose work do you go to that is like blows you away and like makes it easy for you to get up every morning and be like, okay, I'm this is what I'm gonna draw today because I want
Yeah.
to get better.
I would say really it's always been Akira Toriyama, and he's the creator of Dragon Ball. And it's just I anytime I look at his work, I'm like, man, this like is so like he and like Dragon Ball wasn't even his like bread and butter. Like he had Dr. Slump, and that was like his first actual like manga that was published. And I think about like people like him that started that and just kept going. Like there was a time where he was trying to get published into Shonen Jump, and that's like the biggest like manga magazine you could buy. And like they usually have, well, back in the day they used to have like books like this big, and it would have like maybe 10, 7, 8 stories in them just from different mangaka that were in Shonen Jump. And yeah, one time he pitched a story for like a I think it was just to have a story in Shonen Jump, like not like a full story, but like a one shot. So it was like a short story, and he didn't get in. But there was an editor there that saw the potential that he had, and the editor was like, "All right, I know this didn't work, but I want to kind of like mentor you into getting into this comic." So then they created Doc, Dr. Slump, and it's more of a gag comic. Like there's a lot of jokes, there's a lot of funny things going on, and that was like the hit that got him to Dragon Ball. And just him like just figuring out, hey, I don't like, because that's like a major magazine, and like for him to get like be like, you didn't win, but like to have somebody from that magazine be like, hey, I want to mold you like that. That's like so important because like it's Dragon Ball. Then he made a bunch of other short stories, and like Dragon Ball, like just imagine not being able to get into a magazine, and now like your title is literally one of the big three of the magazine. Like
Sure.
it's so inspiring just seeing that. So when I look at his work, and also the thing is that his style is just so nice. Like it's detailed, but it's like very like cute, and is very I don't know, it's just crazy for me to think about like him doing all the stuff he did, all the artwork he did, and he didn't have any computer. It was just straight ink, pen, pencil, rulers. And I'm like I Like anytime anybody asks me my GOAT, that's the GOAT right there. Like it doesn't get no better than that. And he's still, I don't think he's as involved with Dragon Ball drawn wise, but he still is involved with the things happening with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. And it's been, oh my gosh, maybe like I'm probably wrong, but 30 or 40 years, like him doing just Dragon Ball stuff and things on the side. So like work ethic wise, style wise, art wise, like I just think he's like the greatest. And I try to be like a fraction of that if I can.
Yeah. Like, let me ask you this, understanding where his process was, like, have you tried to use that same process to actually get your, to do your, to actually, when you're doing manga, like, have you tried to pencil and ink to like actually go through the full process? Because I know you use most digital work right now, but like, have you gone that route of
come on, I'm gonna beat the game. I'm gonna beat the game. No, why did I fucking die? Why did I die?
I don't know what that was about, but
it's fine.
Continue.
Yeah, I think that when I first started off, I really tried to do it that way, and it takes it takes a while. Like it
Sure.
is very it's very hard trying to ink some, like that whole process is like don't miss up, don't miss up, don't miss up. And yeah, I really tried when I first started because it just looks nice. I like things with markers. I like things that look hand drawn. And I think as time went and like I got into the groove of things, like I still try to keep some element of it. Like I don't ink stuff traditionally now unless it's like a cover that I really want to show some cool lines. But now I'll pencil everything in, or like if there's a scene I just can't get, I'll just sit down, like pencil stuff in, make sure lines are right so I can like actually feel it. Then I'll scan it in and ink it digitally. And a lot of it is just like time reasons, and I'm running out I'm just running out of room in my room to keep papers and stuff. So I'm like, digital was probably the best thing I could do right now. But I really do want to keep that element because I have to, like, sometimes I'll draw too much on the computer and I try to draw on paper and it's very hard. But also sometimes I'll draw on paper a lot and it's hard for me to come back to digital because it's like my muscles are so used to either being this position or like upright. I try to balance them a little bit more now. Like I just got an iPad, and it's kind of that relearning stuff as well, because I had one a couple years ago and I was just using like my finger because Apple, they didn't have the Apple pencils out now. So now I have one and it's just, I'm trying to balance like, all right, I got to do like maybe an hour of iPad time, and it's not like drawing actual stuff. It's like I'll just make a bunch of lines, or like I'll trace something that I've drawn, or like trace something that someone else has drawn, just to kind of get my hand in the motion of it. So I think I really do enjoy traditional art. It's just I just don't have the room or space or really money right now to keep keep it up. So I try to keep everything a little bit balanced as I can.
So your move to, because that was another thing I was gonna ask, is like your move to digital was more practical than it was like, oh, I want to use this because I can do it quicker or something to that.
Yeah, it was just as time went, I was like, all right, this is a little bit less of a headache. Like I know I can go back to this if everything just got wiped off, but I think that digital just helps me get stuff out quicker.
Because like I've met people who almost see it as like a crutch of like your lines are just perfect every single time you draw something or something to that degree, and so
yeah,
to know that you understand that that is not your intention,
mm-hmm.
but then also using it too to your advantage so that you can actually make, because like I've seen you use some type of brushes, like different brushes to different hair textures and that stuff like that, which is crazy to me. That, and like it always looks really beautiful and like
Thank
great.
you.
Of like even like what like we're gonna get into it, but like I love your little whole hair series of like
Yeah, thank you.
where you're showing people how to draw, hair and textured hair, because I think that's important too. Like I think that's
Hmm.
important that people know that we have different, you know, you know, different hairstyles, and like they're not all drawn the same, and they
Yeah.
don't all need to be represented the same. And so like I really appreciate of you take, and then like there's humor too when you do those videos too, which I like, you show through in all of that. So not only you giving people knowledge and passing that forward, but you're also your personality showing through too as well, which I think is always great. Yeah, I always catch myself just watching those just to like, because like it's always it always starts so basic, but then like
Hmm.
the next thing I know, you've done something so crazy that like I forget that where it started out at. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And so like it and yeah, and like yeah, so like I appreciate, again, another thing that I appreciate is that the notion that can you talk about why you are giving that knowledge away? Because like I know some artists that will just hold it close to their breast. What was your decision on being like, hey, I want to show people how to do this?
It's funny because my friend White Manga that works at Saturday AM, he was in a TikTok program where you made like I think like 5 videos a week for maybe like 2 or 3 months, and you get paid for it. Like you get a base amount, but then you get paid on views. And he sent it to me and my other friend Jay Odin, and he's in Saturday AM as well. And he was like, "Hey, y'all try it out." And I was like, "Okay." And like I was very at the time I was very anti TikTok because I was like, I don't feel like I fit in here. Like I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So like I made a test video and then I got into the actual program, and it was like you just have to, it was like learning on TikTok. So I was like, all right, I think that like a topic that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is black hair. And oh my god, it frustrates me, like it really frustrates me so much, like with video games mostly. And it's like you can make all these giant monsters, you can make all this cool looking architecture, but you give me an afro, cornrows, and a bald head. Like
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, it's fun. It's actually fun making these shapes and like figuring out these textures and research things. And like the first video I did, I was very just like it. I was like, it's mostly like children on here, so I was like, I'll be fun with it and make little funny noises and stuff. And like a lot of people like really enjoyed those videos, and I was just kind of like, oh, I was like, oh, y'all really like these? So I just kind of kept with it, and I was just like, oh, like people actually care about it. Like I was just making them just to kind of refute, like do my requirements for the thing, and also just learning stuff myself. But like when it's people like, and they were like children, they like children, grown-ups, their parents saying like, oh, I really like this is cool. Like people would ask me like, oh, can you do braids next? Can you do this next? And it was like, oh, y'all are really like listening, and like you really care about it and you want to know. So that also helped me want to further that series, because it's like I didn't see a lot of that stuff growing up. So like for a kid to be like, oh, I can draw this, and like it belongs, it like this guy's drawing it and it looks cool, like that helps me with my work, and it makes me feel like what I'm making is, it matters. So like yeah, that whole series thing, like I was actually just shocked about how many people enjoyed it and how many people wanted more of it. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to try to take it as far as I can. And I've actually been learning a lot about hair. I've been learning a lot about just different lock textures, different ways to do locks, uh, the origins of certain hairstyles and haircuts, and it's been really cool. Just something I didn't think I would do, turning into something like way bigger than what I thought it would be. And I have had like bad comments as well,
Of
like
course.
people, like it happens, and people are like, why are you only doing black hair? And I'm like, I can find like 300 billion videos on how to do long straight white people hair, but I can only find like a fraction of those videos that talk about our hair. And it's not just like, all right, here's your afro and you're done. Like there's so many styles, so many cultures so many different ways that our hair can be styled, and I think that like people need to know that, so like that one person that's making a video game, they can be like, oh, I didn't know that was that many options for y'all, let me make some options. Or people in Hollywood, they're like, oh, they don't all have to be just bald or shaved or just have waves. Like, no, it's I just want this information to get as far as possible. And like, I would love other people to do them like in their styles, because like I'm just one person, but like I would love to see someone else's take on braids, or someone else's take on how you make like afros or anything afrocentric with your hair. So yeah, I think that was like one of the real push moments where it was like, hey, you need to talk about this, and like it matters for you to talk about this.
Yeah. No, like I love the notion of you talking about your process of like having to do the research. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
often are you actually researching stuff outside? Like, I love the process of getting to that drawing. It didn't start with just like, oh, I'm just gonna sketch this. Like, no, let me actually go do the research. How
Mm-hmm.
often is that taking place within your own process?
It's a lot more now because I'm getting older and I want things to, like, I'm not like when I was younger, I'm like, I know how to draw this, I don't need a reference and now I'm like, no, I need a reference. I can always learn. I'm never not like, I'm not the smartest at everything, and there's always something I can learn about. So even now, like, if there's something I'm gonna draw, I'll look up stuff about it, or make sure that I can get it kind of realistic, where it's like, all right, this is still my style, but also is accurate as well. And with the hair things, like most of the videos, they're like 15 seconds, but it would be like maybe a couple hours. I would look into just different kinds of hairstyles, different kinds of haircuts. And it was just for me to be like, hey, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to just call this something and it's not. Like, I want people to like see this, and like even if you don't draw, like you can still learn like, oh, this is what this style is called, or this is why this thing looks like this. So like even now I'm still like, anytime I get like an idea, I research it first. I look at, like, I read stuff about it. Pinterest, oh my gosh, I use Pinterest so much. And like a few years ago, I was thinking, I was like, oh, this is just for moms to do like recipes and stuff. No, it has, oh my gosh, any subject you want, they have pictures about it, they have like references of it, they have so many things on Pinterest. Like, even from cartoons, they have like older cartoon model sheets where it's just like, oh yeah, this is how you draw Dexter, and this is like from Dexter's Laboratory, like the crew. And like there's just, I would highly recommend anybody that wants reference for anything to use Pinterest, because it's just such a great tool, and it's helped me for many years to get like my stuff tight and accurate.
Was there a moment? Let me ask you this, because I could be honest and say I had a moment like this of where it was that idea of doing research was because something failed, of like, of
Hmm.
where you got humbled, of like, okay, wait a minute, I need to, like someone called you out on something and you
Yeah.
didn't have the information that you, was there a moment like that in your career that happened to you?
I think the one thing it was kind of funny, but the one thing that happened to me, we were watching, me and my girlfriend, we were watching one of those like brain shows where it like, it's like, oh yeah, look at this dot. If you see red dots, like one of those kind of things.
Mhm.
And they were like, all right, draw a bicycle. And I was like, I can draw a bicycle. And I could not draw a bicycle. I was like, and then it showed like a percentage of people that know how to do it just off their head, and it was very slim. And I was like, damn, bro, I don't I think this is about like sign to actually start using references about stuff, because yeah, it I couldn't tell you how to draw a bicycle right now, but like if I look at it and analyze the parts, like it'll help me more. So I was like, that was my humbling moment.
I mean,
Just being like, oh, I can draw anything. Nope.
yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, like, there are aspects of like doing this that you also had to like come to realization that it's like you're beginning anew. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, every, like, even like when I go into every single project, it's like I forget everything that I know before and begin
Yeah.
a fresh slate. Um, let me ask you this. Since, now that I know, like, what made you go back to school? Because I know you were out of school for what like a couple of years before you decided to go back again.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I think I stopped in maybe 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because I was an illustration major, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be an illustration major, and I'm gonna go through these classes, get better. But while I was in school, I was getting jobs at doing like illustration. Like I was getting like a gig here and a gig there, and I was like, well, I guess I was like, I'm already getting jobs in it, so why should I keep going?
Mm-hmm.
So then I just kind of stopped. I worked more. I did a lot of, like, I was doing a lot of shows more. So I was like, I'm kind of just doing what I want to do without this degree. And then I moved up to Pennsylvania, and I was still kind of doing shows. I was doing a lot of stuff in Philly, and I was doing it and I was having fun, but it just kind of felt like empty. Like I was making art and having fun with it and meeting people, but I was like, damn, I feel like I could do something more. Like I feel like I can, like, there, it was just something like just doing this like in the background, but I couldn't understand it. And a lot of people were like, hey, you should teach art, you should teach art, you should teach this. And I was like, yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really I didn't really even, well, people would say it, and my girlfriend was like, that's a good job, like you can get dental, you can all these benefits to being a teacher. And I was like, you know what, I didn't have but like a couple more credits to get while I was in school, might as well finish it up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I went the art education route. And I think, like like I was talking about doing those videos, that kind of like solidified that, like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. Like, that I was teaching kids how to do this stuff, and they were excited. They liked my energy, and I had fun doing it, and it didn't feel like a job. So I was like, all right, this is the route I need to, like, that's when it solidified. And I was like, I need to be an art teacher. And I had so many art teachers that cared and that were Black in my life, that told that, like, that showed me, hey, you can do this, you can be an art teacher, and you can also do your own thing. Like, you, like,
True.
art teacher ain't just the end all be all. Like, they would do commissions, they would do like murals, they would do all this other stuff while they were teaching. And I was like, yeah, that's something I really want to do. So I think that just having that moment of like, oh, this is working out, this is where I'm supposed to be, that helped me want to like buckle down and just get to being an art teacher, I guess.
No, I think that's beautiful. I think there's, I mean, there are people called to teach, and like I think,
Hmm.
and then like sometimes you don't have to do it in the classroom. Like I think I enjoy teaching, but like it's sometimes it's like the the teaching is giving knowledge to a person like you, or to
Yeah.
all my friends, of like teaching them how I'm doing what I'm doing. Of like I always akin it to like opening a playbook of like, here are the plays that I've learned via my career here, and I'm opening up to you because I want you to succeed as well. But then
Yeah.
sometimes some of those plays aren't gonna work for you too at the same time. You also have to like take a little bit of what I did and then mold it into what you're doing too as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so like so based off of that, like what what artists have you learned in college that are now like one of your, like the artists that you're looking at more because they've been introduced to you?
I think it's just been, like, in general, just an appreciation for like all arts. Because when I came in, it was just like, all right, visual arts, that's the best, and blah blah. And not that I was like hating on anybody that did anything else, but it was more like I was just this. But when I got to my college now, it was like, they talked about contemporary, they talked about the older kind of artist sculpture. And one, like, I think it was last semester, we talked about more performance art. And it was one of those things where it was like, it was cool, but I was like, I don't get it. Like, I was like, why do they do these things? Why are people like, it just didn't click for me. But being in classes where we talked about it, I was like, wow, like, I get it. Like learning about their lives, learning about what they've been through, learning about things you can't just put on paper, and you need to see like actually acted out in scene. Like I was like, that's just a whole nother aspect that I wasn't aware of, and like not aware of, but I wasn't able to grasp until I actually researched and got into it. So I think that college just all around just helped me think about every aspect of art, whether it's visual, music, conceptual, like it. And it also helped me understand that I don't have to just draw stuff. Like it could it could really be anything that I can just put my mind to and like try to make people see.
For sure. Now, do you think it's also helped you add more depth to the actual characters that you're creating too as well?
Yeah, I think it's hard when you're so like this, when you hear like more about people's lives, and when you hear more about things happening in art and like what's working and what's not, it helps me understand like people in general, and then like I can make better choices with the characters I make, or I can make I could, if there's something I can't verbalize, I can like make it into a character where it's like, all right, this is the feeling I'm feeling, and this is what I'm trying to say. Like I think a couple years ago, 2016, 17, when the Tiki Torch stuff was happening, I was like, bro, that sucks. Like, and like I just said, it sucks, but I can't really verbalize the anger I had then. So I was like, all right, I'll make this character that's like a Black Panther, but actual a humanized panther. And it was an image of him like punching one of the Tiki Torch guys, and like that. And that made me like it made me feel like I said what I needed to say, like just drawing that. So it's a good way for me to see different points of view, so I can be like, all right, if I can't say it, I can show it by this, or I can show it by this concept. And yeah, I think that it just really helped me as well with my concepts and stuff too.
No, that's beautiful. Let's get to the fun stuff. Let me ask you this. Uh, how did it feel the first time that a professional artist posted your stuff on their page? Talk about
um
that, because you've had it happen multiple times now. This,
yeah.
I'm sure you're numb to it now.
It's still weird. Like I remember back, oh my gosh, back when I was like back in my like early 20s, like when I was 19, 18, like I was just on the grind. I was like, anybody that was rapping that I liked, I was like, all right, I'm gonna draw him. If he don't like it, whatever. I was just on the go, like seeing who would post it, who would post this, who would post that. And it was a long, I would say it was probably 2016 as well. And I drew a picture of Lil Uzi, and I was like, hey, if you see it, whatever. If you don't, it's fine. But like he actually posted it on his page, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
for me to draw something, appreciate somebody, and they appreciate it back. Like it's always really cool. And sometimes it goes absolutely nowhere. Like that's the thing about it. Like they're busy. Sometimes they don't run their own pages, and like sometimes like they get posted and tagged in so much they don't see it. So like I used to take it real personal back in the day, but now I'm just like, hey, I'm kind of at the point where it's like I get tagged and stuff, and like I don't see it, or like I might miss a message, and I'm not even doing as much as a lot of people. So like I get it now. And yeah, it's always real nice when people do see it and they say something nice. I think one of the biggest ones was I like drew a fan art of Deezus and Mero,
Yeah.
and Deezus really liked it, and he reached out to me. He was like, hey, we want to use these for crew shirts for like everybody that works on the show. Could we like pay you for this, and like could we get the image? And I was just like, yeah. I was like, of course. It was just really crazy to see them on TV and like be like, wow, I was watching them and now they reached out to me. And with them, like they've always like, just through the years, they've always been like, hey Blake, are you busy? Do you want to do this thing for us? Or like they always ask me if I'm available to do things, and it's nice that it wasn't just a one-time thing, and like they actually care. They're like, hey, we want to pay you for your work. Like it's valuable to us, and that's just a nice thing as well. And yeah, we had a drop. I think it was last winter or fall, and it was like a cat, like a bodega cat, and it had like a NY hat and like a hoodie,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was, and that one it was really nice because like I got to actually do some, like I drew the picture, but also I had to figure out the colors for it because they were getting them as like the patches, so I had to like figure out the color numbers, and like I had to vectorize it and things like I normally wouldn't do with my own art. So it was like I got to do something real fun, but also I got to learn something at the same time.
True.
So like, yeah, it still hits the same. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I
that's like it's so like bro, when I saw because you did something for them for their like ice cream too, right?
yeah, I did like the little caricatures and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so sick. Like I think that's
thank
like
you.
that's crazy. Like because I think I saw Freddie Gibbs posted something of yours too.
Oh yeah, that one I was really happy about because it was just I just kind of drew it as fun, and I didn't think it would get that far, and for him to use it for so long, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. No
Like
man, you've done some pretty spectacular things. Like
thank you.
again, I'm very proud of you for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm and so like no, yeah, I'm astonished every single time I see like because I remember like Meg posted something of yours
Yeah, yeah.
crazy. And so it's like I was like, oh, that my boy's doing this thing. Uh but no, like okay, so I want you to talk about Four Strikes because I
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit with Daniel, but I mean, you're kind of the brainchild of all of it. So like give everybody the plot of what it is it and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Four Strikes is a shonen slash seinen manga, and it's about a boy named Malik. Um, he is very like timid, very like not not popular, very kind of shy, and he I'm trying not to spoil stuff. Um, and he gets a chance not to be that because there's a demon in the city, and he doesn't really believe it. He's like, all right, we're in the real world, why would there be a demon here? And he has to walk a friend home one night, and they end up seeing a demon, and he has to fight it. And I think it's really just about being like kind of being yourself, but also being able to defend your right to be yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like and that's kind of coming from like where like from me, like I'm still a little bit shy, and in school I was very shy, and I think that being yourself is very hard to do because you're like, oh, what if people think I'm weird, what if they think I'm this that, but also you should be like, no, I can be this, and y'all are going to respect how I am.
True.
And I think that's a great message for young people because it's very hard, well, it's very easy to just fall into I'm gonna do this because everybody else is doing this, I'm not gonna like we get bullied in school for playing with Tamagotchis, and I'm like, bro, bro, I'd get bullied again for playing the Tamagotchi. It's cool. Like I like it. Like I shouldn't have to hide a part of myself just to conform to everybody's standard. And I think that was a big message I wanted to put in Four Strikes, to be like, hey, like, yeah, you can be shy, you can be sweet, you can be nice, but you should also be able to turn up when anybody's questioning, like, why are you like this,
For sure. And then like it's the idea of defending yourself because I think that's
Mhm.
like something like kind of growing up in a very similar way of like we've always been taught of like no non-violence, like can't just walk away and stuff to that degree.
Mhm.
And sometimes that you put in some situations of where you can't walk away of where you have to stand up for yourself. And so I really do appreciate that particular message of like, it's non-violence until the violence comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have no other course but to act.
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect of it, because like, again, I'm very similar to you, and I think a lot of Black artists, especially growing up in Alabama, have had to deal with that aspect of like kids not understanding this notion of like who you are as an individual, but then like but then you, at the same time, you have these beautiful relationships that form because we all watch Dragon Ball Z together. And like once they realize that the thing that you're trying to do is that, and it's like, oh, okay, I get, like, that's cool. Like, yeah, so it's like, I think it took us all some type of time to really get people to understand. It's like, I'm not weird. I just like, this is just what I'm into, and that's okay. I'm sure you're into something that you don't want to tell me about, but like, I just prefer to be more open in the way that I'm presenting myself. And so, no, I love that. And so another thing I want to ask you about is, how did you get your connection with Saturday AM? Like, did they come reach out to you about Four Strikes, or was there like a pitch process? How'd that happen?
That part's funny too. There was a Facebook group where they had like, it was called Pilot Manga, and it was for people trying to get into the magazine, and like they had editors from Saturday AM in the group, and like people would be like, hey, this is my little short story, or this is the character I'm thinking about, and like they were able to get feedback from them. And I got into the group, I can't remember when, but it was a couple years ago. I got into the group, and I was like, we were already doing Four Strikes at that time, and we were posting on webtoons, and I was like, hey, here's my manga, Four Strikes, and blah 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 blah. And I got kicked out the group, and I was like, wait, what I do? So then like I was kind of angry. I was just like, I didn't do nothing. And like I messaged Fred. Fred is the I'm sorry, Fred is the he runs Saturday AM. So I messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry if I like went against the rules or anything, but why did I get kicked out? And he was like, oh no, you're fine. It's just, it was more like the group was more for people trying to get into like the manga part than like that are not people that already had stuff on things.
I see.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And he was like, but we should talk about stuff. And like, so we got to talking or whatever. And he Frederick Jones is a funny man. Like he worked with 4Kids, like getting things serialized from Japan. He worked in the gaming industry for years, and he started Saturday AM because he wanted his own thing. He was like, hey, like I want to do this. Like I have the background, I have the business. Like I want to do this. And yeah, we just kind of were talking about stuff, and then he was like, hey, we want to try Four Strikes in Saturday AM. But it had like it's very gory, it has cursing in it. And I was like not too confident about it right then. And I was like, well, that I feel you, but let me try something else. So I pitched another comic, and it was called Tortuga Force 5. And it was like a Power Ranger-esque story, but it was set in Atlanta, and like the main character was Black. And it was kind of like, I wanted to see how this goes, because like I like comics and all that stuff, but I also like Power Rangers and all that. And I wanted to try to make a story with that. And we got like a couple chapters in for it, and he helped me out a lot, like developing the story. And there were some people that liked it. It was still like a pilot, so like a lot of like we didn't do a whole lot of chapters with it. But then I was just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna work more on Four Strikes and like put this on the back burner until I can write a little bit better. And after that, they had a magazine just for seinen stuff, so like more adult titles where you could curse and show nudity and show blood. And I was like, okay, I think we would do good there. And like he was like, yeah, I think y'all would do good there. And me and Daniel talked about it because we got offers about it from like other people that wanted to publish it or make it like theirs. And it just seemed like we were just like, nah, I think like Saturday AM as a group, like they're just a very great group, and it should be them. And like with them, like we own Force Rights. We don't have to sell it to them. Like we don't relinquish our ownership because we're with them. Like it's still me and Daniel. So that was a really big selling point with it. And I was like, yeah, I think this is probably the best place to like do what we want to do with it.
So like, how many people were reaching out to you for Strikes?
It was just a bunch of people that were starting off, and then there was another group that they were getting pretty big as well. And like I was kind of like, like they had great titles and stuff, but like I had already been with like Saturday AM just from doing my first thing.
Sure.
And I was like, I didn't want to go against the grain and be like, sure, you guys can have it, because like I had already had a relationship with Saturday AM, and it's very rare to have like a publishing company be as understanding and cool about stuff as Saturday AM, because there's times where like we might miss an issue and they're like, hey, it's okay, you guys take a break, we have like other creators like NPM that can fill in the spots. Everybody there was just mad nice, like, and there's like artists way better than me there, and there was no ego. They like I can message any of them and like get design help or like manga help with stuff, and it just everything just kind of felt better. And like I didn't want to mess up that relationship with anyone. Like they would have been completely fine if we had went to another company, but I feel like it was just they did so much for me and they believed in me so much that I was like, hey, I might as well just be with y'all since y'all already understand how I work and y'all are great people as well.
Yeah, it's almost like family. Like
Mm-hmm.
they supported you when no one else was supporting you, or they
Yeah.
wanted to see you thrive. And so, you know, you always want to stick with those people who want to see you, you know, to because you can help them build themselves up too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a mutual thing of like where, you know, the more successful the people get in it, the more successful they do. And so it's like
Yeah.
a symbiotic relationship that y'all have together, which I think is beautiful. And I commend you on staying with, you know, the people that actually were there from the beginning. Because I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially when people start to get to a certain place, you kind of forget where you came from. You forget
Yeah.
who was helping you out in the beginning. And so you know, again, I commend you on staying and sticking it out. I'm realizing that we have like 3 minutes left, and so I want.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No. That's good. We did great. You did fantastic.
Okay.
That don't.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to see if there was any questions before, and I don't see any in here. So I think the last thing I want to give you an opportunity to do is to plug anything you want to plug. So
Okay.
tell the people that what you're working on, what you got going on.
I'm working on a little animated pilot. Hopefully in October it'll be ready. We'll see. It's called Intralio. It's like a medieval fantasy adult comedy. I'm gonna be doing a lot of voices in it. So if you want to hear me do voices, you can check that out. Please read Four Strikes in Saturday PM. We just had a issue come out a couple weeks ago, and I think it's still free for you to read. Also, you can subscribe and get all the issues. You can get PM, you can get AM, you can get brunch, you can get pilot, and that's like maybe 300 plus issues of just back stuff. So yeah, it's a good deal.
Crazy. Is that you got any more? Is that it?
Thank you everybody so much.
No,
I guess.
No, yeah, no. Blake, before we shut it down, I just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this. You know, I have the deepest love for you.
Thank you, man.
And when next time you going home?
I was just there for my birthday, like the week of the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just really like, because COVID and stuff, I was just like, all right, I'll just hang out with my family for a little bit and then head back.
You gonna be there this summer?
I'm thinking maybe June, July, maybe end of July, but I don't know. We're still kind of figuring stuff out.
Okay. So I will see you there.